Hello and welcome to today's LOL Esports Roundup. We're going to cover the LCS series from last night and the LCK playoff series from this morning, and then preview both regions' games for tomorrow. First things first, a bit of FlyQuest news. Fly have allowed Swagasaurus to leave. Swagasaurus was the general manager of FlyQuest since the end of the 2017 season. So he's been around a long time, and during his tenure with FlyQuest, they've went 111 and 132 domestically in regular season. They went to Worlds 2020 and competed very well in a group that included top Esports. Actually, the mid lane was outstanding in that one. There was Knight on top, Chovy on DRX, and then Unicorns of Love also were in that group with FlyQuest, and Fly came away 3-3. This leaves Papa Smithy as the GM. In my opinion, he's president of gaming or whatever, so he was above Swagasaurus. When he was GM of 100 Thieves, he went 83-52 domestically. Obviously, 100T going to Worlds multiple times under his leadership. Struggling internationally, getting over the hump, but we're good domestically and got the job done there. So I don't know if he will become GM, take on that role, or if they will look outside of the organization for a different general manager. Obviously, there are a lot of disappointed people there. Predictions: I'm 264 and 127, went 2-0 on the board. Golden Guardians Dignitas in the LCS. GG win 3-0. It was dominant. Licorice was my MVP. Gory 19-8 and 17, 35% of damage. Stixay 13-2, 26 in bot lane. Tomo 9-8 and 8, 28% of damage in the loss. I thought that Jensen played a pretty good series, all things considered. Game 1 on the Xerath really kept Dignitas in it. Gory, honestly, I didn't think looked very good in Game 1. And when you look at all three games, Licorice was in a good position. Now, Golden Guardians did play in a way that allowed him to get leads on Renekton into K'Sante, but it is rich, right? A Korean import top laner, somebody you expect to be able to compete with Licorice, if not outplay Licorice, and it was not the case. Licorice gapped him in this series, in my opinion, and then in Game 3, solo killed him. Just a dominant performance out of Licorice. I was really surprised. River did a lot of really good things. Santorin could not keep up with him all that much. Like I said, Jensen, I thought actually over the entire series, all things considered, he may have played better than Gory. I thought his DiStefano was good. I thought he tried really, really hard to extend his world streak. That I think it's a record, right, for the amount of times he's went to Worlds in a row, and that will end now. Maybe that is it for Jensen. Who knows? As far as bot lane's concerned, I thought Tomo did some nice things in Game 3 on Kesa. Otherwise, Stixay and Huhi were much better than Tomo. Poom, Huhi, especially in Game 2, outpacing Poom and making things happen, both choosing engage supports, and Huhi's Leona. It was one of the better Leona games we've seen actually this year. Well, not this year, but this split. I'm not a big Leona fan. I prefer Nautilus in that matchup. So when somebody does good on Leona, it is a, oh wow, noticeable thing. Not to mention, Poom should be more of a facilitator on the Nautilus, land some hooks to offset those Leona roams, and he just didn't do it. So that's a thing. This isn't a surprise, right? A lot of people thought, we're on the Dignitas plot armor Hopium train. I picked Golden Guardians 3-2. I thought that it would be close. I thought Dig would have been able to close a couple games out. They couldn't. And a lot of that, in my opinion, had to do with the top side of the rift. I thought Rich and Santorin looked absolutely, gapped. LCK Genji T1. Genji win 3-2. Pays 26-9 and 26, 29% of damage. He got my MVP. Peanut 12-7, 47. Faker 6-13 and 24, 31% of damage in the loss. I looked like that when I said Pays was MVP because I think you can make a case for Peanut, Pays, or Delight. So we saw Corki Azir again. I really hope to God this does not become a thing. T1 won with the Corki. The more that Corki comes, the more that Azir will, the Azir Corki meta will occur. Maybe Victor ends up in there. I don't care if champions, these champions aren't that good. It won't happen. We know how metas work. So, and it's not because of what is actually good, but what are Korea playing? What are China playing? Like, and it's like, oh, they're playing Corki? Ha, let's play some Corki, right? And that is not a good thing. Brion, unfortunately, are out of contention. Otherwise, they would have won Worlds in a Corki Azir meta. Looking past that, even honestly, T1, one of their games they won, they had no business winning. I think that was game 2. It was a really low kill game that they somehow were able to choke out Gen G in because they were able to have good objective control. Game 1, I thought Peanut was the MVP, though. Like I said, I think you make a case across the series. Peanut gapped Owner, but in Game 1 especially, Owner somehow ended up down like 30 CS. Didn't do as much either. So you are down a ton of CS, and you didn't facilitate as much, and Peanut has the Drakes. So what did you do? So that was bad. Once I really started noticing the gap occurring, I was like, well, this is a bit of a diffy here. And then, I thought that T1 in their games, they just slowly kind of beat up on Gen G. Game 3 was a blowout. I thought Guma and Carrier did some really good things in that one. Faker somehow leading the team in damage with only 6 kills in 5 games. That's something. Kind of goes to show you just, how much, I guess, I wouldn't even say kill stealing is the word, but just like, sometimes you have bad luck in last hitting targets, and Faker didn't get the gold for doing so. And one would argue that in games 4 and 5, if that happened, maybe T1 win, right? So it's a 5-game series, and then in games 4 and 5, T1 had a lead or were even with Gen G. But, like in game 4, so I think Zeus gets caught out, dies. So Gen G forced the Baron in game 4. They're down 2-1. And they're taking the Baron. It's like 21 minutes. And then they come off the Baron, and Delight does a great engage on Alistar. And that sealed the Baron because they get the engage, they get a couple more kills, and they take the Baron. Pays cleaning up that play as well. Chovy on the Yone in games 4 and 5 looked pretty good. And then in game 5, I thought Pays looked excellent on the Aphelios. Coming through in big team fights. There was one team fight when the game was still very close. The damage chart was up, thank God. I love that damage chart when it's up, when the gold is close, or it doesn't matter anymore, and we're looking at who is dealing the damage in this fight. Let's do the math, And Pays dealt a shit ton of damage in the fight that decided game 5, and frankly, across the entire series, I thought Pays was pretty good. There was a little bit of inting going on in one of the games, but otherwise, I thought that Pays and Delight played excellent, better than Guma and Keria. As far as mid lane's concerned, though, Faker dealt damage. Chovy didn't die very much, so that's kind of, it is what it is. Peanut gapped Owner. Doran and Zeus top lane, you'd like Zeus to do more, but I thought Doran had his impacts. His Jax game was sus, but his gangplank was good. Zeus had some nice plays on Jax as well, but otherwise I thought he, wasn't as impactful as Doran. A close 5-game series where I think T1 had ways to win and didn't, so that's the thing. Sneak peek for tomorrow: LCK, HLE, KT. KT 17-1, HLE 12-6. They've played 6 times. KT winning 4 of them. We're gonna look at the top mid bot lane comparisons. Jungler, obviously, I'm not going to compare because HLE had Clid in the first series and Grizzly in the second. So in top lane, Kingen in 6 games went 2 kills, 11 deaths, 22 assists, 25% of damage. Keen, 15, 9, and 24, 22% of damage. So Keen not as impactful, and Kingen actually did out-damage Keen across these 6 games. Mid lane, Zeka, 26, 8, and 17, 26% of damage. So Zeka coming through with a lot of kills. BDD, 16, 11, 36, 27% of damage. So very facilitator oriented. We do think of BDD as that player, but did deal just as much damage. Bot lane. So we have a lot of people think Viper Life better than Aiming Lahens. So in the 6 games, HLE's bot lane went 20, 35, and 57, 35% of damage. KT, 29, 21, and 69 for 36% of damage. So I would say it's pretty close. And we'll see who shows up tomorrow. not very different in terms of how these teams are built. Like I said, HLE's top side getting a little more damage than KT's, and someone could say, well, but KT's other players dealt just more sheer damage. Like I said, wasn't the case. Kingen actually out-damaged Keen in this 6-game series. LCS preview, Golden Guardians TL. Golden Guardians 13-5, TL 10-8. GG won both games. We are not breaking it down like this because it's just 2 games. Mid lane matchup non-existent because TL had Harry in 1 game, APA in the other. So because of that, and Gory led Golden Guardians in damage, we go to the next player with the most damage, and that was top lane. So Licorice went 6-2-12, 23% of damage. Summit 4-6-3, 28% of damage in the loss. This reminds me of when NRG played TL. TL played EG. And EG, I think, beat TL both times. And Summit dealt way more damage than Revenge did, but Revenge led, secondary carry for EG or whatever. You get what I'm saying. So the comparison ended up being in a similar way, and I wonder how that series will look tomorrow. River and Pioshik, there was a diffie there the last time they played as well. So that's it for the roundup. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, like it, subscribe to the channel for daily League of Legends content. Follow me on Twitter, join the Discord, become a YouTube supporter. Hope to see you again tomorrow.